Hello, 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 hello.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Oh, I'm good.
Good. You all good too, right?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay. So I've never moderated before. So is there anything like either of you guys want me to do, or do you just want me to like interject if I think you guys are talking past each other?
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that works. Just so you know, I got like an hour and then I gotta head out because I haven't done our econ assignment yet.
Okay.
Yikes.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I guess you start off, Fusions, because you're the one that wanted to talk to him.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Fusions. My real name's Simon. You can use Simon or Fusions, I don't mind. Anyway, okay. I didn't listen to much of what you were talking about last time. Because I asked in chat, and people said you were talking about taxes. And from the little bit I listened to, which I don't remember, I think I disagreed with it. But I think for convenience sake, I would just ask, well, what were you talking about last time between you two?
Dude, I don't know what day it is. Shoot. Taxes was definitely part of it. I think it was about something about what to use your tax money for and what we should tax people for, I think.
Okay. I don't know if I have any strong opinions on what taxes should go to, but would you like dispute like things like flat tax or things like that, or progressive taxes?
Oh yeah. That's what we were talking about. Yeah, I don't like that. As you make more money, that you have to pay a higher rate of taxes to the government.
So you would be in favor of like a flat tax?
Yeah, like a flat tax, either a flat rate or a flat sum. The flat sum seems impractical.
Why do you like a flat tax?
Because it just taxes individuals as individuals, and it doesn't really take into account how successful you are. I don't think the government should be able to use rich people that live in the country as their personal fund.
But they would anyway under a flat tax, right?
No. A flat tax, like a flat rate tax, yes, they would pay more, but it's the same percentage. So you would have to be willing, like, it regulates the government kind of like this. Whatever percentage cut you take from the rich person, you also have to take from the poor person. So it puts a limit on it because people are only willing, I would say, for the most part, to tax someone who doesn't make a lot of money to a certain extent, or else usually they don't get elected back into office in our current political environment. So I think that puts a natural limiter on how much the government can tax people.
Okay. I think my immediate problem would be that the difference between, there are obvious differences between a wealthy person and a poorer person. Obviously, their wealth, but that aside, their jobs, right? Is that a wealthy person is more likely to have a more consistent job than a poor person, which is why I would instantly disagree with the flat tax.
Why?
Well, because if a person that needs to pay taxes at the same rate as a richer person is a poor person, and they have a less stable job than a richer person, it's not going to be a problem for the more wealthy person, but it'll be more of a problem for the less well-off people.
Why is it going to be a problem for the less well-off people?
Well, because they have a fluid job rather than a stable job.
Okay, but either way, it's still a rate, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's 5%, it doesn't really matter how much you're making. It's 5%. The less you make, the more you get to keep.
Well, there are also, you also have like less disposable income as a poorer person, right?
Exactly, and that's why I think it's a good idea, because since you have less disposable income, the government will only be willing to tax you so much, so in essence, it restricts how much the government can tax the wealthy people.
So because of the poorest of the poorest people, that means that the richest people should get a tax break.
I mean, it's not a tax break. A tax break would just mean, like...
Oh, yeah, okay, they get a lower
they
tax,
get by
sorry.
on it, but yeah, they wouldn't be taxed as much, yeah.
So how do we... is there any... It doesn't seem like there's any motive to then raise the tax rate.
Exactly.
Well, what if we need to fund more things?
What do you want to fund?
Well, right now, what about Medicare? How do we fund Medicare if we want that in place?
I don't think the government should be funding Medicare. So that's why I'm okay with it. I don't like how much the government funds things. I think the government shouldn't be funding as much as it does, and since it does, I think it encroaches on the private lives of people, because now the private lives of people are government funded. I think you should allow people to figure out how to fund those things on their own terms. So and let me be clear, I'm okay with different cities or counties creating different tax laws. I'm specifically talking about like a federal tax.
Yeah.
So if a state wants to raise taxes for certain state benefits, and in the state Congress they say we're going to tax the rich more than the poor, or the rich a higher rate, then that's what you get for living in that state. And I support the state's ability to do that for the most part, but I don't like how much the federal government has been involved in everyday private life. So I think if you make it so it's a flat rate, it restricts the federal government's ability to tax to a certain extent.
Is there any like government programs that you are in favor for that would take tax money?
I like interstates a lot.
Do you think that they'd be able to be funded under a flat tax?
Yeah. I think the government would have to get a lot more efficient very quickly. So.
Well, it doesn't seem like that would happen, right? You understand that the first thing that would happen would be that they'd start deficit spending.
That's possible, but what they should start doing, and obviously I can't control the government, but the hope would be that instead of them deficit spending, they would cut programs and fire people.
Or they raise taxes. And then they keep the programs that help the people, and then don't use flat tax. So they keep everything.
No, I don't think that you could keep everything, because sooner or later you're going to get to the point where the government's just going to need to print its own money, and you're going to have a case of inflation. So,
what, right
in
now?
essence, yeah. Are you talking about? I'm sorry, I lost you somewhere along the way. Are you saying if a flat tax was introduced, or if it wasn't?
Well, I would. Your example of like what they should do to work around a flat tax is that they would get rid of programs, and I said, or they could keep them, fund them with a progressive tax, and then keep everything the same.
Yeah, but it would require a progressive tax. I disagree fundamentally with the idea of a progressive tax.
Why? Because it's not fair that people pay more?
Yeah, in essence. You're basically punishing people for making money.
Well, it's not that we're punishing people for making money, it's that we're helping the people that are poor. And it just happens that rich people aren't poor.
Yeah, but it's not a one-way street. It's not like you only give to the poor. You have to take from the rich first, which is punishing people for becoming rich.
I mean,
whether or not it's directly or indirectly, you are taking away more and more of their money the richer they get, just to redistribute it.
But taxes take from everyone that pays into them, which doesn't just necessarily mean wealthy people, right?
Right now, taxes don't take equally.
Yeah,
I pay barely anything in taxes compared to someone who makes good money.
Right. Why?
Because I don't make a lot of money.
Right. So you're not penalized for being poor, and...
Yeah, but a flat rate doesn't penalize someone for being rich.
Well, it depends
It
what you
says
would
if
want
you're
the
rich,
tax
you
to be, I
pay
guess,
this-
sorry.
Oh, low.
Like, how
Remember,
low?
I'm in favor. Well, as low as you're willing to tax the poor individuals in the country.
Well, some people literally don't have income, so it could be 0%.
No, if they don't have income, it could be 100%. You would still get zero money from them.
True. Well, what does that solve? Then everyone doesn't get any money if it's 100%.
Exactly. That was an extreme example, but basically, say someone makes, and I'm even okay with not taxing, like just excluding people, saying you pay taxes as soon as you make a certain amount. Okay, so let's call that certain amount 10 grand a year. As soon as you get 10 grand a year, you have to pay. Oh, what's the total percentage of income tax right now? Is it close to 15%?
I have
With
no idea.
Medicaid and I just did this in my accounting class. It was anywhere between 7 and 15%. So we'll just choose a nice round number, 10%, right? Everyone gets taxed 10%. You still get more money from the rich people, less money from the poor people as a government agency. But in essence, you're taxing all people equally and fairly, which only makes sense to me since everyone is equal under the law of the land, the Constitution, or legal system. Everyone's equal, so it should make sense that you tax everyone equally, regardless of race, religion, or income.
Right. Okay. I'm very curious why you don't like safety nets, I guess.
What safety net?
Well, example of Medicare, like why these government programs shouldn't exist.
Because I don't think you should make. So explain what you mean by Medicare. Do you mean how we have it right now, where it's just like health insurance?
Yeah, for now, yeah.
So I don't think the government should be in charge of health insurance because I don't think the government should be in charge of deciding who gets what coverage and who gets treated. I think that should be up to hospitals. So if you go in to a hospital, I think you are much better off if you are just treated on a case-by-case basis than the government trying to come in and decide. And I say this seeing what happened in Italy lately. So in Italy, there's public health care, and the government basically decided who got to live and die by the end of it. And I do not like the government having the power to decide who lives and dies. I think that is an eventual byproduct, maybe not immediate, but eventual byproduct of government-run healthcare.
Okay, but you understand that someone that owns a business in America, well, necessarily has their business on American land, right? Which is governed by the US government.
Yep.
So they shouldn't be able to have any say over what they constitute.
What?
The government should be able to have a say on things that they like have rule over. Basically, is that what that sounds what you're saying?
Are we talking about hospitals or businesses or hospitals as
both.
businesses? Okay, so I'm a bit confused on your question here. So if you build a business on American land, yeah, the government gets to tell you, and by the way, it's not just the federal government, it's the city government. Hey, you can only build in these areas. We zone these areas out to do this.
Yep.
You build a business, you can still, once you're there, you run your business, and as long as you don't break any laws, you're fine.
Yeah, I agree.
That's very different than the government coming in and saying, now you need to make bread. I don't care what your business was before, you gotta run it this way.
Well, isn't those laws the same thing, right? It's like,
Well, I think Panda's arguing for what things ought to be, not for what things are.
well, I'm just arguing what the government is right now, and it seems like he's saying that the government shouldn't do these things.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Yeah,
like there's a
shouldn't.
progressive
But-
tax right now.
But they
and
should
I don't
do
think they should do
similar things with the same reasoning, is my point.
that. What similar things?
Like laws, like you brought up a second ago.
Yeah, they can make laws.
Well,
But a restrictive law saying you can't do something is not the same as a law saying you have to do something.
well,
You
a restriction
can't murder
means you...
someone. You don't have to go and work at Starbucks.
Right, but saying murder is illegal is saying you can't do certain things, right? Which
Yes.
in like a contra-positive example means that you have to like almost leave people alive. You can't kill them. It's like the same sort of example.
I'm not sure it is. In the case of a hospital, if the government gets to choose who lives and who dies, or who gets treated and who doesn't, the government comes in and tells the hospital and its employees, hey, you have to do this. You have to do that. If a government comes in and makes a restrictive policy, they are simply restricting the amount of options someone has. So if they say, you're not allowed to do a lobectomy, or a lobotomy, sorry, then the doctors can't go and cut someone's brain. But they also can do other brain surgeries. It's not like you have to do this specific procedures. It gives them some flexibility. If you want to take that into the business world, the government can say, hey, you can't build your business in a residential area. But once you build your business somewhere else, they can't stop you from selling bread or cookies or cakes or maybe flowers or anything else. Like, saying a restrictive policy is not the same as a mandatory policy, I guess.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna throw out a statement, and I'm gonna ask if you agree with it. Okay. Okay. Are you okay with if they're able to pay for it, they should be able to get it?
Not completely. I don't think if you're able to pay for meth, you should be able to get meth.
Within the law, I guess, is the added bit. So if you have
Within
money
the
to
law?
buy a
Yeah.
business, yeah, okay.
What's wrong with that?
Well, there's a lot of wealth discrimination with that statement, right? Is that people that are unable to buy things means they don't get access to things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you okay with Social Security?
I think Social Security was an okay idea during the time, but I think it's been grossly misused. And I think that's just another example of why you can't trust the government with too much welfare. Like, the Social Security fund has just been destroyed.
Well,
just destroyed.
it's kind of because people literally live off it, right? And they're unable to get out of that state which they literally live off it.
Yeah, which is just a bad program.
Yeah, but that's not the program's fault. That's wealth distribution's fault.
No, that's literally been the result of welfare throughout history.
So
If
why
you
isn't
give people
Bezos on
welfare,
Social Security?
Say again?
Why isn't Bezos on Social Security?
Because he's super rich.
Right. So it seems like he has enough wealth to not be on that program. Why is a poor person on Social Security most of the time?
Because they're poor.
Right. So it seems like people are
And
on
it's
these
their best
programs
income.
because of their status of wealth right now.
Yeah, but what happens if you take away Social Security?
Well, at the moment, people die. Like a lot of people die.
I think you would be surprised. Okay, we'll do it a more practical way instead of just going to the pure hypothetical. What if you keep Social Security for everyone who's already paid in to it, but you stop providing it for anyone who hasn't paid into it?
Say that last bit.
What
again.
was the original? You don't provide any new Social Security. Everyone who's already paid their Social Security taxes gets Social Security, but everyone else doesn't get it.
Well, then they have to go for private pension plans, which are not regulated by the government.
Exactly.
Right.
Or
Okay.
they can just save their money.
Right, but people not poor people are usually not that smart either. So do you think they're going to be able to like save their own money?
I mean, that's where I think there's a fundamental difference. You say I'm discriminating against poor people, but I'm going to say poor people have just the same ability as anyone else to get stuff done. Or if they're stupid, they fail at it, and that's their own fault. I don't think that we should be treating all poor people as stupid just as a basic rule. I think if they're smart, they can go ahead and save their money. If they're not, they can spend all their money like a dumb poor person, and then they lose it all.
What do we do
However,
with those
the smart
people?
ones, the poor ones, they're
Yeah.
stupid. You let them be poor.
Well, it's not really good for the system then, right? Because then they start taking social security,
Poor
which...
stupid people are not good for the system.
Right, so what should we do about those people?
We should let them be poor and stupid
Why?
because they did it to themselves, and it's not your job to provide for someone else.
Well, what if we like educate them and give them money to be able to not be poor, so they can become productive members of society?
I don't think it'll work. Mostly because we've already educated, right? That's the whole argument for public schools. We've already educated society. I don't think that has actually helped too terribly much with the poverty rate.
Well, yeah, that's because of
So
property taxes.
what about property taxes?
So the
How
way
do
that a
those
school
factor
is funded is from the property taxes of that area. So a poor neighborhood is going to have poor funding.
in? Okay.
So if we fund the education system without property taxes, or additional to other ways like, other taxes, it doesn't solely depend on the area it's around. So you can have really good schools in poor neighborhoods that can bring those poor neighborhoods up.
Don't we also just have online learning?
I mean, yeah, but aren't they from like actual buildings and institutes in a specific area?
I mean, I learned how to save money with an online course. It was free. I watched some YouTube videos.
Okay, does that mean everyone
So I don't see
does
why
that?
that requires. No, but once again, why are we trying to? I don't understand why we have to lift up and bring up poor, stupid people.
Because in the long run, if we do help those poor and stupid people, it means it's better for everyone. They're then
Why
working.
is it better for everyone?
Because if we train them to be working members of society that are not poor, not dumb, it means they're able to contribute to the economy, just like a non-dumb, non-stupid person would be able to do.
I don't think you can actually make someone not dumb. And I
Well-
also don't think you can turn a poor person rich just by giving them a lot of money. I fundamentally disagree with
Well,
that.
not directly giving them money, but like funding them, as in like putting programs around them.
I don't think you can make a poor person rich by indirectly funding them.
Have you ever seen the stats on people going to college having a higher wage after they go to college?
Yeah. Have you also seen the stats that most college degrees at this point are getting as hired as people with experience, and now the trade schools are blowing up because a ton more people are going to trade schools because there's such a high demand for them?
Are they getting money from those things?
From trade schools? Yeah, dude. You get money way quicker if you go to a trade school.
Well, it seems like the system's working in my favor then. It seems like they go to college and then get a job that gives them money.
Whoa. Trade school, not college.
Okay, it's trade school. Isn't it the same point?
No, it's not the same point. You need like maybe a high school degree, maybe, not even. And then you go learn a hard skill that you can then go apply, and you make money off of your hard skill. You don't need college. It
How are
also
those
costs
trade schools
way
funded?
less. They're privately owned.
I haven't seen this. I need data on this.
Any data on trade schools?
Yeah, and
What about apprenticeships?
I haven't seen those either. But
It's another way to get a job. Like you can go. So I was gonna be an electrician for a while. I looked at becoming an electrician. I was interested in that. So here in America, you can go and you go find an electrician who's hiring apprentices, and maybe they'll say, hey, we're not going to pay you too much to start out with, $10 an hour. It's a bit over minimum wage. You're going to work hard for us. You're going to put in your time. And while you're here with us, we're going to send you to these private trade schools. Then once you're there, you learn about your skill. You work on the job, and once you meet a certain amount of apprenticeship hours and enough school hours from the sorry, I'm blanking. I just said from the trade school. Then you go and you take your exam, and you can become an electric journeyman. Now, usually the employers do this knowing that you're going to want a job as a journeyman. So then you go work for the same electrical master who had hired you on as an apprentice. You work for him for a few years. Maybe then you want to become a electric master. You go and take another test. You can become a master, start your own business. The apprenticeship cycle kind of starts over.
Okay.
Pays good money too, being an electrician.
Okay. That
Zero
idea.
higher education required.
Well, about that, if we take that idea of a trade school, right? And I agree with everything you just said. And it gets people education and a wage afterwards, right?
I mean,
most of the time.
No, it doesn't give people a well-rounded education pretty much at all. It's basically just a skill. But yeah, it does give you a nice wage afterwards usually. As long as you have a company to work for, you know. If you're a bad journeyman, then no one's going to want to hire you. But as long as you're decent at your skill, you can usually hire on with an electrical
You're trained to do the skill, right?
Yeah.
So it's like some level of education, right?
I mean, sure.
Okay, what if we do a state-funded version of that? I'm not saying remove the private ones, but add a public one.
Well, say you do make a state-funded version of that. Then am I going to want to go to the free state-funded one, or am I going to work for someone who's going to make me work hard? Do I want to go to the competitive one?
Doesn't have to be free.
Or am I going to want to go to the government one?
Doesn't have to be free.
So now we have to pay for that.
Well, you could have a small barrier of entry. It doesn't have to be, like, massive.
Okay, who's going to pay for it?
The people. You could do loans.
So, as it is, the private companies have to pay quite a bit of money to the schools. But they do that because in the long run, it gets their employees well trained, which benefits their own company. So, once they start benefiting their own company, like hiring an apprentice and then sending them to school to become a journeyman is an investment. It does not usually make the business owner money until they come back as a journeyman. So I don't think making that a government funded thing is going to improve the apprenticeship system at all. In fact, I haven't heard anyone who's been an electrician, been a plumber, been an HVAC person say that they want a publicly funded version of that. Like, it doesn't seem to be something that's in demand.
If you had to guess the like distribution between public and private, like
the distribution,
like education in general,
schools? Of all schools, way more public schools.
Right. Why do you think that?
Yeah. Because the government's building them, and once you build a free school, it's kind of hard to build a private school next to it.
Okay. Which one do you think's more successful, like in getting the degree at the end?
Private schools. They have way higher test scores, way higher graduation rates, and way better jobs in the future on average.
Give me a sec.
That's why private colleges can charge so much, like they're prestigious schools.
So because they might be a bit better, we should axe them, or wait? It's not even that much difference.
The difference between private schools and public schools?
So the difference between wait, The difference, the percentage chance of getting a bachelor's from public school is 51%. Private, it's 54. It's not that much different. This is
Are you talking colleges or high schools?
Well, this is just public institutions versus private institutions.
So if you're talking colleges, I'm pretty sure I agree with you. Because no matter which school you go to, it's not very hard to get a bachelor's as long as you put in the work.
Right.
You know? However, if we're talking high schools, because you can have a private high school in America, you do have on average higher test scores. Now, also, it gets very complicated in college because I believe the government still funds part of private schools, which is why there's a college up in Michigan, I believe, whose big thing is they accept zero government money. I think it's not Liberty, it's Hillsdale College. Tuition's super expensive, but they have great connections, great job placement rates, high average income out of college, and are revered as one of the best private schools in the nation. Now, they get zero government funding, and they're able to do that. Are their tuition prices high? Yes. I'm not sure I'm against that. I think their tuition prices also have to be high because they're competing with a lot of government funding.
Yeah,
I think
the barrier
government
to entry
funding
is a lot
just
higher.
drives up the...
Yeah, I probably would agree that this exists.
Just...
Yeah, because the bar to entry is really high, so rich people tend to be more smart than poor people, and if they can pay to get in that school, they're probably more likely to get through it. So the success rate's going to be higher. Yeah, I don't disagree with any of this, but I don't know if this proves your point.
Because it shows that you don't really need government funding in schools.
Well,
No,
kind of.
TheFuZiOnZz is saying is that the schools that don't take like government money are going to be so already like high tier because they have the luxury of doing that. So like they can afford tuitions, and the people going there will already be like super smart.
And it proves
Why
that,
will they be smart?
Well,
because if you're competing with a public option public option, your business has to be better than the public option.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So any businesses you can point to in a system with a public option, they're going to have to be better to succeed at all, and probably like spend more.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is the government level is always the lowest.
well, maybe, but you also then proved that whatever school you just brought up that shows that something with a high barrier to entry of price is very successful. So it seems like the amount of money you have correlates to the success you have academically.
No, there's tons of rich people who go with private schools and then flunk out.
Yes, but you just gave evidence of one of the top places in the country having a...
Yeah, they're a great school.
Yeah, having a very high bar to enter and having a very high success rate. You don't see any correlation between the
Maybe
price
a
they
correlation,
paid?
but not necessarily a causation.
Okay.
They're a great school, that's why they can charge more money. If they weren't a great school, they could not charge what they were able to charge.
You ever thought that might be the other way around?
Not take government funding. You think that because they can charge a lot, then they're a great school?
Well, because, again, the barrier to entry is really high, and rich people tend to be smarter. Yeah, I think that could be a solution,
Why do you
a
think
suggestion,
rich
yeah.
people tend to be smarter?
Well, because if they're more likely to go to school if they're more rich, and IQ has a trend with more education.
It has a very slight trend with more education, but IQ is supposed to measure inherent intelligence. So as long as you have a base education, enough to understand what the questions in the test are asking you, IQ is supposed to try to level that out. Yes, as you get more educated, it does go up, but it's not very high.
Well, it goes up.
Yeah, but not a ton.
Every year of education increases IQ by between 1 and 5 points. And it's persisted reasonably well through time, apparently, this says.
So if you go 10 years of school, you can take your 110 to 120. That's still not a giant gap. And it also
still an
spans
improvement.
10 years. Hopefully you get smarter in 10 years. Like, I'm not sure But if that holds true across everyone, shouldn't you just be able to average that out and still measure poor people's like? I, you're getting into dangerous territory where you're basically saying if you're poor, it's because you're stupid and you're helpless. And now it's the smart people's responsibility to make sure that you're not poor. And I don't
how
agree
do
with
poor people just get out of being poor then?
like every other poor person in existence has gotten out of being poor.
Which is very, very rare.
I mean, it's not actually that rare for income to go up over time and increase past the inflation rate. America as a whole had a lot of poor people. The African Americans in the country who started out as slaves have taken their overall income level and as a population have increased as time goes on.
Give me a sec.
You know, your average African American family has much more now than they did when they were slaves. That should just be obvious by looking around. The average Asian in the country has skyrocketed. Skyrocketed. From when they were out working on the Transcontinental Railroad to where they are nowadays, where they are the wealthiest people in the country and the smartest and most educated. Now, some of that has to do with family values as well. Asian families very much value hard work and studiousness, like they do.
Okay.
So that's good for them. But
what do you think of income inequality as like, what do you think of income inequality in general?
I think it exists.
Do you think
because different people get paid different amounts?
Yeah, do you think we should do anything about that?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, are we talking about in the same job?
Well, just people being their income being unequal. Literally.
I don't think that I should be getting as paid as much as a certified accountant working at a grocery store.
Right. But do you think we should open more doors for more people to be accountants so you can get that type of job?
I think there's already doors open.
Okay, should we open more?
By doing what? Depends how you want to open those doors. Like, yeah, I'm all for creating opportunity, unless it starts to go against, like, unless we start sacrificing certain things that I'm not willing to sacrifice to create that opportunity. You know what I mean?
Well,
if you're just like, yes, let's add opportunity, yeah, but what's it cost?
Well, the same cost as it's been doing right now. Well, what do you think the cost has been at the moment? Do you think there have been bad costs?
Right now, I think the biggest barrier to entry in being an accountant is the fact that you need a college degree for it.
What's the barrier to entry for a college degree, do you think?
Being able to pay for college and spending the 4 years going through your classes. I think it would be smarter to hear me out. If you want to open opportunities, here's a good way to do it without costing anyone anyway. Get rid of the fact that you need...
Oh.
Back?
Hello?
Hello, are you there?
Yeah, we're back. Carry on.
Okay. I think a good way to increase the opportunity for an accounting job would be to make it so that a college degree was not a requirement to take your CPA. Your CPA is your certified personal accountant test. If you take away the requirement for a degree, then anyone can go on the internet, study to be an accountant, practice the accounting techniques, and then take the test and become a certified accountant.
So if we can learn... Okay, I think you said this twice now. If we can just learn stuff online, why do we have schools at all?
I think schools are becoming more and more irrelevant, especially colleges and the way they're being taught.
You don't think the standard of being educated in a school and being educated online is different?
No, I think the standard is different.
Which one do you think is better?
That's why I think colleges are becoming more irrelevant.
Yeah, which one do you think is better?
I don't think one's better than the other. I think they're different. I'm going to college right now. I'm going to college because I need a degree to become a CPA. I also had great test scores. I was able to get a scholarship, so I will be able to afford to go to college without going into any debt, is the hope. But if I had the choice, especially with how colleges have handled this online transition during the whole viral outbreak thing, if I was not required to get a degree to become a CPA, I would drop out of college right now because I am paying thousands of dollars to take classes that I don't want to take just so that I can get a degree from the institution to become a CPA.
How would you feel if you were in the same position you're in now, just a lot less wealthy?
Well, then I would think I would definitely want the CPA exam to not require a college degree.
Specifically, how would you feel about that?
About not having to go to college and spending the money?
Well, not being able to.
Then I would really want there to not be a college degree requirement on a CPA. Because it would be way more affordable. I could literally learn from YouTube videos.
So you'd rather the bar of education go down rather than the barrier of entry of that education to go down?
Why does the bar of education go down?
Well, again, why do we have schools?
What kind of schools?
Well, any school. Why do we have schools and not like teach everyone online?
Have you not seen? We're literally teaching everybody online right now.
Okay, I mean like using YouTube videos, not like the classes that we're doing right now.
My professors are assigning YouTube videos.
Right.
That's why I'm saying the entire thing's worthless. My professors have given up teaching and are substituting themselves with YouTube videos.
I don't think they've given up teaching. I think it's incredibly difficult to teach right now.
I think it's as simple as him turning on a webcam and recording a lecture.
Yeah, and people not as smart as us guys who can turn on a webcam really easily.
My college professor, who I'm paying thousands of dollars to teach me, is not as smart as us. So for me to get smarter, I should pay him money.
Okay, what do you study again? What field do you study?
Accounting.
Do you think you're pretty smart in that? Or
I would
in general?
say I'm pretty smart.
Can you tell me about string theory?
No.
Oh, I thought you were really smart, dude.
Yeah, I haven't watched any YouTube videos on string theory.
You see how you can be uneducated in one area and educated in another area and still be considered smart, right?
If it's your job to teach people and they move online and you know you've had to teach people online with a 2 weeks notice, I feel like you should be able to YouTube how to turn on your webcam and record a video lecture. Because he did it once. Except he hand drew his slides and no one could look at him. And then he gave up hand drawing his slides and assigned YouTube videos.
Maybe because it's not the industry standard to learn things on YouTube right now, so he didn't exactly think of doing that. As he literally teaches classes in a school, and that's what he's used to doing, is being taught in classes or teaching classes, not YouTube videos, as it's kind of the standard to do.
Why is it the standard to teach YouTube? No, I think you misunderstand me. He gave up teaching the way he is used to teaching in online classes. My college has provided multiple online classrooms. You can use Zoom, you can use WebEx. It's an honors class, so it's already in the honors college. He's an economics professor. And instead of him going and either recording at least readable slides and teaching us the topics, he assigns us 20 to 30 YouTube videos a week. We go and watch the YouTube videos by other professors who are more qualified than him. So these people are more qualified, are putting out free videos. We go watch those, and then we go and do our assignment with no input from him.
Do you see a difference in him assigning you a YouTube video and you going to find a YouTube video?
One I had to pay a lot of money for.
It's got nothing to do with it might be curated to the topic you're being educated on.
Yeah, it's an economics YouTube series by two really smart economists.
Right. But your professor curated those videos from other videos for any specific reason, do you think?
No. My professor had a website he liked, and he literally is having us walk through an entire free online YouTube course from them.
He curated specific videos for you to watch that he supports that project his point in the same way. So he picked them out of many other ones to show you at this time. Right? So he curated them.
So I'll give you that point. If I'm going to pay for an online education, and maybe I want highly specific curated videos, then perhaps I would be willing to pay for that.
Okay, we do understand it's not normal times right now, right? That he's not doing this because he doesn't like you or something. He's doing it because that's the only thing he can do right now. It's not exactly a choice to have corona right now.
Okay, good point. So then I'll ask you this. If these aren't normal times, but these YouTube videos were always available, and they are good enough substitutes, then why couldn't I watch these and then take an economics test?
Because they were good enough substitutes for unprecedented times. I don't think they're good substitutes for precedented times.
I would disagree. I think the guys in the YouTube
why didn't he assign you
videos teach
before?
economics and because he wouldn't get paid as much if he lost his job to a YouTube video. Why wouldn't he assign them before? Because if he assigned YouTube videos from the very start of the semester, it become very apparent to his students that learning online was just as good as the substitute as taking class from him. In fact, that started happening with one of my other classes. It was a business class. Her professor just started assigning YouTube videos from other people, and a ton of people stopped showing up to class. But guess what? They're all passing.
Seems a bit... Okay. This kind of sounds very conspiratorial that they're just doing it for the wage that they get, right? Do you kind of admit that, or do you not accept that?
They're doing what for
They're not showing you videos in class because, well, it'll take away from their graft or something. I forget the specific word.
Yeah, it'll take away from their class sizes. If you can just learn online the exact same things that you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars to learn in college, what don't
I don't think it's exactly the same as the classes, which is why they don't do them in class.
That's why people are willing to pay a ton more money to go to Hillsdale. Because the professors in Hillsdale can teach a lot better than a YouTube video.
Yeah, I agree.
But do you know what can't teach better than a YouTube video?
Yeah?
Public education.
Why is what?
Public education teaches nothing that a YouTube video cannot teach you.
Are you a teacher? Are you on like...
I taught classes before.
Have you been in like a Department of Education board that I don't know about?
I've been through high school.
So no. I would definitely not have the confidence to be able to make that assertion that their YouTube videos will be able to teach the same as normal school classes like that. Not without any evidence.
Okay, what wouldn't they be able to teach you?
Well, I don't know, but I haven't read up on this, but it's a really big assertion to say that videos can teach on par or better than schools.
Okay, name some school subjects.
Maths, English.
Okay. Have you heard of Khan Academy?
Yeah.
It's a free online academy that goes into tons of different math courses where you can watch the videos and then it has practice problems. What do you do in school?
We can bounce it down like that, but you don't have a teacher to interact with, for one, like you would in a class, which is incredibly helpful for teachers, for schools,
that's a
for students, sorry.
You are exactly correct. You do not have an interactive teacher that you can interact with. I will give you that. That is one thing that is missing from online schools, and that's one thing I miss the most about the online education I'm getting from college right now is not being able to discuss it with my professors.
I'll give
Now,
you another one if you want.
sure, go for it.
The social
Before
dynamic of being in a classroom, or being forced to be around people in classrooms that you have to then
that's a
get to know.
dynamic.
It literally is like a precursor to social, like, interactions with people. It's studied to be.
No, public schools are not, like, now they are, yes. But you do not need a public school to teach you how to socialize.
No, they don't teach you how to. They force you to be able to. They put you in a class with other people that you basically get put sat next to someone else that it's either really weird for you to not talk to them, or it gets quite normal to then talk to them, and then you develop that skill without being taught it. It's something that a classroom but a classroom does way better than an online YouTube video, because you're on your own.
A classroom does do better than socializing you than an online video. But I don't think the point of school is to socialize you.
I'm not saying it is. Yeah, I agree. That's one
that's
dynamic.
A secondary benefit that I'm willing to push off somewhere else.
But it is a benefit of schooling, right? Social skills is a massive, like, need to be able to, like, well, do anything past school. I'm sure you've had interviews, right?
I don't think. Yeah. What's that have to do with school?
Do you think you could be able to do an interview if you're, like, learning off YouTube videos all the time?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, just because you learn your subjects off of a YouTube video doesn't mean you stop interacting with the general populace.
Well, yeah, but being able to... Right, there's a difference between living on a street and you having people around you that live on the street that you decide to get to know, and being put in a classroom with people you probably don't know and having to talk to them, right? Just like an interview would be. You don't pick who your interviewer is. It's that same sort of dynamic that you're able to then go into situations like an interview, be able to talk to someone without, well, hopefully, without being nervous or on edge about things like that, unless you have precursor things, which is a different story.
I don't think you need schools to teach you how to be comfortable around people you don't know.
It's in the data. There's data on this. That it's a massive...
What's it study?
Give me a sec. One of the, like you said, one of the secondary curses of, like, one of the secondary characteristics of being in a school is being able to socialize. You don't get that from things like homeschooling.
So I have been holding on to this card for a while. Yeah, so I was homeschooled all the way through high school, and I would say my social skills are just fine. I interview fine. I get good jobs. I actually just got an internship with a senator's office out in the capital of DC.
You're one person of 330 million people.
I also know a lot of other homeschoolers who would go to either homeschool co-ops or attend online private schools.
Of 330 million people.
Wait, just so you guys don't talk over Fusions, you have the study on this, right? That's why you're bringing it up, right?
I'm trying to find it now.
Yeah. Because, like, if Fusion's going to talk about, like, large data, like the homeschool groups in Montana, maybe, like, super strong. They were pretty super strong from what I've seen, from the little experience I've had being homeschooled. But, like, he's going to be talking about, like, metadata and, like...
Okay, let's hear it.
Give me a sec, I'm pulling up.
Just so we don't, like, talk over each other.
While you look for it,
Yeah.
I have moved all over the U.S. I've been a part of multiple different homeschool groups. There are some weird homeschoolers, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, they are all super stand-up people, just like anyone else who goes to school. They have just fine social skills. They join sports programs. They have friends. It's not like they're different people than anyone else. So I would also be interested, is this only the homeschooler since public school has been invented? Or is this like people who have never been to public school over time?
Depends on the specific link, I guess. Give me a sec. No, this is not it. I remember there was something you mentioned about like after school programs, right? I got told that you spoke about that.
That's what I was advocating for.
I'm finding a lot of links that say that after school programs definitely do help with social skills. I can give you those, but
That's not classrooms.
It's in schools.
Okay, here's the deal. I did after school programs. If you want to talk about me volunteering at church, going to a youth group, playing baseball, yeah, I agree with that. Being able to join social events helps with social skills. The fact that most of those are run through the schools now does not mean that schools are the causation of socialization. It just means that socializing helps socialization. Doesn't matter where you do it from.
Do you think there'll be more or less socialization if you go to school or not? Like identical lives.
Just as much.
There's just as much socialization if you did go to school as if you didn't.
And hear me out here. Hear me out. Maybe a healthy decrease in it.
What does that mean?
I think people have become ultra socialized. Especially with the emergence of social media, the need to constantly interact with other people and seek validation, I don't think is good for the general populace. So, if you allow people to remove themselves a little bit and give them time for reflection and introspection, you give them some more independence. And I think that's a good thing. I think right now schools are also the cause, and you can disagree with me if you want. But I think schools exacerbate the problem of mass shootings. I think they exacerbate the problem of suicide. I think there's a lot of social issues that happen in our current public schools.
I agree.
So why are we trying to keep those?
Well, because you can solve those specific issues without abolishing the whole thing.
Can you?
Yeah, you can put gun control in place, and then you can have mental health. I mean, I can link you so much stuff on gun control right now.
It hasn't worked in America. All states have it so you're not legal for a minor to own a gun.
It doesn't matter about the minor owning the gun. It matters about anyone owning a gun. Because a minor can get an adult-owned gun.
Sorry. That's right. Sorry. We have to ban all guns. That's right. Okay.
Well,
so
no,
without
I'm not
getting
saying
into
we
the
ban
gun
all
control
guns.
argument, well, let's back up from that and stay on topic of the debate. But so you're saying you have other options that might be able to fix the problems that the system brings without abolishing it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask the question, that's cool, but why are we not considering the option that the public school system isn't needed?
Because it's not really a realistic example, I guess. It's not a realistic answer. When we can incrementally change things and see effects over time.
Get rid of it?
Because, well, that's not an incremental change. That's like a replace. Well, it's kind of like a.
Can I moderate for a second? I think Fusion's trying to say is that there's like such an upside of public schools. Getting rid of it doesn't seem feasible.
Yeah, but so far I think we've disagreed on what that big upside is. You say that we need public education to increase opportunity. I'm saying that even in college, it seems like YouTube is a good substitute for my professors. Apparently, I'm not really happy with that.
In unprecedented times, yes. Not in
No.
unprecedented times.
For the last time, the YouTube videos are teaching better than my professor was. I'm sorry, it's just the fact of it. Then 2 of them did, actually, because one actually sat us down in class to watch YouTube videos, and when I asked for office hours, he never responded.
Okay, let's say, yeah, it's absolutely true that you had this, like, that this happened to you. How do I know that this happens across the population?
Well, it's happened to the population of all the other people in my classes. Across the entire country,
Do we have
there
data
are
on
now
this?
high
Is what I'm
school
asking.
teachers.
Sorry.
No, it just happened.
Well, how do I know that this is real then, rather than anecdote?
Well, I'm gonna ask you to trust what I've heard from everyone else. Everyone else has moved to online classes, right?
Okay, I have.
Wait.
Other.
Like, Fusion, this is going to be a fundamental disagreement. So, like, either you're going to have to get data saying, disproving that to Fusions, that's the only way Fusions is ever going to change his mind, and probably Fusions, you're going to have to do the inverse to change.
I'm doing that now.
Hold on.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that America is in online classes.
I agree.
Yeah. And,
America as a whole are assigning more videos and online topics.
Yeah, I answered why. And
these are whole communities, these are whole high schools. This is happening. So I think what this reveals is that all of these things are viable substitutes for normal education.
Well, no, because yeah, even if I agree with everything you just said, apart from that last statement, as we said before, they're still curated by people in these schools, so there's still an element of public schooling involved with the schooling right now. In an unprecedented time.
Would not be a viable option to just have content curators in a school to make an online curriculum, which they could then distribute at much lower cost.
Well, I'd have to see the data then.
Increasing opportunity.
Yeah. I'd have to see the data for this year's, like, school results, I guess. Or if we tried it. Scores? Yeah, like the test scores for the next few years if we try in like a few years trying that sort of idea. Which I don't know if it's happened, but if this is real, like if this is a massive benefit and it's better than public schooling, I'd be all for it, absolutely. But I haven't seen evidence for it.
Okay, so that's fair enough. So if the online school gave the same amount of results on a test, right, then you would be willing to say, hey, it's a viable option.
If it was definitely proven to be cheaper, absolutely.
How would it not be cheaper?
Well, we don't know. That's what I mean. If it's definitely cheaper, then definitely, absolutely. If it's not, then for whatever reason, then definitely no.
If you just have an online curator and you just have to assemble...
I'm not saying that it will be more expensive. I'm just saying if it would be more expensive, that would be my only disagreement to doing it, if it's the same results. That's it. So we agree, basically.
If it's more expensive.
If it's more expensive to...
Okay.
With the curator one, then that would be the only objection I have to it.
That's fair. So, would you say the class, like the economics class that I'm taking, there is it's kind of a curated set. It's literally just an entire website's course. You just picked a website. But say that website has good free education. Is there any difference between just assigning them all of that video than a teacher teaching it? And I'm actually going to agree with you because we kind of skimmed over this. I do believe teachers are beneficial to education a lot. I had some great high school teachers. I'm actually okay with paying for those high school teachers. You know, people say teachers don't get paid enough. I would agree that good teachers don't get paid enough. So, if I'm not even in favor of getting rid of all normal teachers. What I am in favor of is removing the kind of barriers to entries that requires you to go through the public education system or get a degree and it instead allows people, maybe they're poor, maybe they're richer and they don't want to spend as much money, whatever it is, to have more options for education by using online school, by using online classrooms, by using YouTube. And as long as they can deliver the same results, then I see no reason why we should be against that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just, as long as I have the data in front of me that says it's good, or in the question you asked, like equal to, yeah, absolutely. It's just I would guess, obviously I have no good evidence to prove it right now, obviously. I would say that it wouldn't. I don't think it would. But I could be wrong, absolutely.
I'm sorry, you don't think it would what?
I don't know if online schooling with this curator stuff would be as equal to public schooling. But again, I have no evidence to prove that.
So here's another question. We already have established, well, at least you've said, I'm still iffy on it, but say I'm going to go with your assumption on this, or your assertion, not even assumption, that public schools in poorer areas are lesser than public schools in rich areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, is that not already unequal?
Yeah. Which I
So why should
proposed
we
a
completely
difference.
ban a form of education that maybe is lesser? Because I'll even agree with you on this. I think I have better results and better knowledge because I went to a classroom, and now it was online, but an online classroom with very smart people and was able to interact with them. I think I have a better education and a better understanding because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that means you have to disqualify people who don't have that opportunity, can't pay for that better education. So you give them opportunities. It's not the same quality, don't get me wrong. It's not. But you give them opportunities to use online YouTube videos, whatever, to still learn the same skills. And at that point, they just need to put in, maybe it's extra work, maybe it's harder, but it gives them an opportunity. So I'm not saying all the slopes are equal, but maybe you can still carve a mountain path for the people who can't afford to get on the trolley.
Well, would I be in favor of an option like that?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah, probably.
That's all my argument is for online school. I agree with you that I think you learn better with a teacher. But I also think that if you have the ability or the option to do something like, say, I want to get my CPA. If I had the option to get my CPA by watching YouTube videos, learning the skill, or maybe paying for an online video course that walks you through it, which is basically all I'm getting right now at college, by the way. I have lectures, but the lectures are basically reviews of a Web Connect book that was $200. So I paid $200 for a course, right? I can just take the course and walk through. I also get to skip out all my it's not common core. What's it called? Core classes in school, my electives. I don't need any of that. Maybe I can't afford all the electives. So it gives you a cheaper, more affordable, direct option to the actual job and source of income.
Yeah, okay.
So it sounds like you agree with me.
Yeah, but I'm not for abolishing public schools.
No, I don't think you are. And I think we can compromise and say, for now, at the current time, maybe that's not the best option, but maybe a good way to start to phase out public schools. And I understand you're not going to agree with this, but this is where my logic goes. A good way to start phasing out public schools, or really see if they can even compete, is to open up these other options and see who picks what.
Yeah, I agree. Because if they're better, then I would always go where the data shows. I'm not going to support a position that doesn't have any backing to it. Absolutely.
There you go. I think then that at least gives us a good compromise path towards either way, right? Once you have more data, then maybe I'll have to shift my position, or maybe you'll have to shift yours. But either way, I think we can agree that allowing more options like that is good overall. And I think that's mostly what I'm arguing for, is the fact that you don't need a public school to achieve success.
Right, but we have no evidence for that right now. That's why I'm still in favor of public schools.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I gotta head out. It's 15 minutes past when I said I had to leave, but it was nice talking to you. It was a good discussion. I'm glad we got a little bit of a debate in. It's been a while since I've actually had like a back and forth debate. It's a bit harder when I talk to just my buddy over here, because he has this nice tactic where he just asks questions and doesn't and then doesn't make his own assumption till he thinks he has me trapped. So I have to fight against no one. But it was. Don't worry. I love you, Gabe. Big hearts.
I like being nice, so I like ask you questions so I figure out where you are and figure out where we can compromise.
No, Gabe, you know I love you. Oh my gosh.
No, like said, I'm debate acting though.
You are fun. I enjoy these discussions. So it was nice talking with y'all. You guys did a good job. I do have to go and do those economy YouTube videos now, which I'm just dreading. So
if you need any help,
I was gonna say, if you just want to send me over those answers real quick, I'll pay you. I'm a capitalist. So it'll be good. It'll be good. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for chatting.
Bye. Oh. Damn. He's roasted me at the end.
Oh my god. We just don't care about poor people. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What do you think like Republican positions are?
Yeah, but I think I have a study now as well. I didn't send it in. Oh. I did research on flat tax stuff, and then we used it for like 15 minutes.
I'm sorry.
It's good.
I like you guys had to like resolve education because he had to prove that he wanted you to prove that there were effective policies. So it kind of had to go down that route.
I like how you would do flat tax. Yikes. Okay. Right. Well, I'm gonna go play Minecraft with some people, I think.
I'm glad you. Wait, did you enjoy it? Was it good?
It was. Yeah, it was okay. It was civil. I like civil discourse. I spoke over a few times. I instantly regret it. I don't like talking over people. But yeah. But yeah, thank you for moderating. I'll always do it the other way around if you need a moderator.
I'm a very chill person. So,
yeah, true. I need to watch your last discussion with him.
I'd be like really interesting on your thoughts because I'm thinking back to it, I think I did a really good job. But like he said, like the way I talk kind of like drives him into a corner.
Wealth distribution is good. I'm fine with flat tax, but it's not right now. That's why I would say flat tax is bad right now.
Because that would be really fun to examine. But
okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if I could get 100%. I hope you have a good night, dude.
Oh,
I have
you
to
too,
like lie down. My tooth, like my wisdom tooth is poking out.
Ooh.
And it like there's this flap of skin that's just dangling. And I keep messing it with my tongue. So like I have the worst headache ever.
Well, yeah, you should go lie down.
Yeah. I hope you have a good night, man.
You too, dude. Thanks for having me. I'll see you later.
See ya.